Welcome to Aligned Impact, the podcast where conscious leadership meets bold entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Summer Huntington, and each week we dive deep with founders, innovators, and thought leaders who are rewriting the rules of business from the inside out. Here we talk mindset, brand, content, culture, the real stuff behind building a legacy-driven business that doesn't burn you out. No filters, no fluff, just real conversations that inspire aligned action and intentional impact. If you're a visionary leader ready to create with purpose, grow with integrity, and lead with your heart, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so I chose personally as an instructor to not work with pregnant women until I experienced pregnancy in my own body. It doesn't mean that you can't. There are lots of wonderful instructors that have not been pregnant that do work with pregnant goddesses. But for me personally, I didn't know what it felt like. And I felt like, to be true to myself as a teacher, I wanted to know. So when I was pregnant the first time, I went to all kinds of classes. I was living in LA, and as you know, there's a yoga class on every corner in Los Angeles.
Big warm welcome to Dr. Desiree Bartlett. Thank you so much, Desi, for being here on Aligned Impact Podcast. I am so excited to interview you, and it's such an honor to have you here.
Likewise, Summer, and aloha from Hawaii. I'm super, super excited to connect with you and your audience.
Oh, thank you. So, Desi, we're just going to get right into it. Let's begin with your journey. You've been teaching health and wellness for over 30 years. You've been in magazines, you've consulted with so many major brands, you've put fitness products out for a very long time. You have a PhD. Sky's the limit with you. But what was it that initially drew you to this path, and how has your purpose evolved into now what we know as your work?
So my mother was a hippie. And she was a disciple of Goswami Kriyananda at the Temple of Kriya Yoga in Chicago. So I was given my first mantra at 6 years old, and meditation was a gift that was presented to me at such a young age that it's been with me as a lifelong friend. But the fitness aspect came later. When I was in college, I was a dance minor, and I hurt my knee in class one day. And I went to the university doctor and I said, hey, I've got this knee thing going on. Can you help me? And he said, you don't have an injury. You just need to strengthen your quads. And I said, what's a quad? And he said, go to the gym. And as fate would have it, that same evening, I met fourth place Miss Olympia that year, Jackie Paisley, may she rest in peace. And she said, I've got you, girl, I'll take you to the gym tomorrow. And she did, and I never left. I changed my major, and I changed my whole career path, and I was very lucky that through injury, or through, not injury, but weakness, if you will, it led to so much strength.
Awesome. I'm such a huge proponent of strength, and I'm just so excited that you're integrating those two things into your work. And it seems like you're really carving out a niche for yourself and building your own body of work. You mentioned that you just received the trademark for Body Mind Workout. Can you tell us a little bit about your specific body of work and how it's unique?
Yeah, so because I've done so many things for so many years, whether it's product development for Gaiam, or I was the community director for Banduka, I was the Group X manager for Equinox, I've had all of this corporate experience in addition to being an instructor and an author, and really having the joy of waking up and doing what I love to every single day. But trying to marry the corporate intelligence with the desire to share movement and strength from the inside out is really what I'm all about. So I like to bring yoga and fitness and meditation to as many people as possible. And I do that through my media platform, through others' media platforms, as well as through product development, and of course, writing, because that's a passion as well.
Awesome. And for the actual modality itself, I think a lot of my audience, they're always curious about how to really optimize in wellness and in strength and in yoga. Do you have any if you could paint us a picture of what it feels like to be in a 60-minute session that's like your signature body mind workout?
Yes, so I would divide that into 20-minute sections. So you have 3 separate sections. We have a really focused sort of satsang, speaking and discussing, and what is the theme of today, and let's set a clear intention. Let's drop into meditation and a clear vision of what that is. what is the disconnect between where you feel or what you're feeling today and how you want to feel. So if you're feeling very unbalanced, for example, let's come into a state of balance, and we can talk about, the harmony of the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain, that kind of thing. And then from there, we would segue into 20 minutes of strength training, and then we would wrap it all up with 20 minutes of yoga. So we have a little bit of each, and it's sort of like this trilogy offering to really bring you back into that state of like, oh, I'm not just siloed into parts, I'm one holistic being.
I love it. That definitely translates to me and the work I do. We do a very similar method where it's prime, condition, flow. Prime is like kind of where you create awareness about how you want to feel and like kind of tuning into the somatic senses. Condition to like empowered warrior, and then follow it up with yoga. So I just love that is totally just aligned with the work that you're bringing to people.
A divine parallel for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And I think there's so much power in if you have a 60-minute session, like that's your CEO check-in with yourself, and that's an opportunity for you to really shift into how you want to feel, and we get to make that choice. So I know you do a lot of things. You have a lot. You're just very productive. And when I first met you and we did our screening before this call, I was like, wow, she's so grounded, even though she does all the things. What does a typical day in your world look like now? And what rituals or practices keep you grounded as a creator and entrepreneur in this space?
Well, it's really all about the morning. And I know a few years ago, a lot of content creators got into what does your morning look like? And then it kind of fell by the wayside. I really am grounded in what my morning looks like. So before I even open my eyes, when I first feel that little bit of wakefulness, I go deep within and I ask, reveal to me, show me, how can I be of service today? How can I show up? And I do that in Spanish. This is inspired by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. She's the author of Women Who Run with Wolves. And what she says each day, she says, enséñame, show me. So I simply say, enséñame, and I allow that divine intelligence to reveal itself. And then from there, I get up and I do all the things. I'm a mom. I've got a dog that needs to walk. So I wake up, I take the doggie over to the beach, and then I commune with nature and the Pacific Ocean. So those hippie roots are alive and well in me. And then from there, I go into the mechanics of the day and, taking care of my kids, making sure they have breakfast, go off to school. And from there, I can start work.
Beautiful. Yeah, I definitely know the feeling of being a mother. And I know a lot of your work is around like empowered pregnancy. And it seems like you really are embodying this practice and really being a leader for women going through those stages. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your work in working with prenatal? I know you've published a book. Can you just share with us a little bit about your work with empowering women throughout pregnancy?
Yeah, so I chose personally as an instructor to not work with pregnant women until I experienced pregnancy in my own body. It doesn't mean that you can't. There are lots of wonderful instructors that have not been pregnant that do work with pregnant goddesses. But for me personally, I didn't know what it felt like. And I felt like, to be true to myself as a teacher, I wanted to know. So when I was pregnant the first time, I went to all kinds of classes. I was living in LA, and as you know, there's a yoga class on every corner in Los Angeles. And I went to classes that felt way too easy and were basically, breathing in Supta Baddha Konasana and butterfly pose for 45 minutes when I wanted to feel strong during pregnancy. And then when I would go to the strength-based classes, I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. This movement is contraindicated. Why are you asking me to twist? So what I felt like, honestly, Summer, I felt like, who is the storybook character? Goldilocks. Like, this one's too easy and this one's too hard, and I want it to be just right. And I had so much education at this point. At that point, I had my master's degree in corporate fitness, my degree in kinesiology, lots and lots of certifications. So I looked in the mirror and I'm like, all right, I need to step up and I need to rely on my gifts and my education. But more importantly, the one who taught me how to teach prenatal yoga and fitness was the baby inside. And so I would talk to him all the time and say, how does this feel? And that's how it all evolved.
Oh my gosh, that like brings tears to my eyes just thinking of, I'm a mother of three, and so important when you're doing the yoga practice and even like yoga and strength, that you're connecting with the body mind and connecting with the little body mind, the little nervous system that's inside of you. I love that that was a big piece of informing your work. And just in case any pregnant mamas are listening to this podcast, what is the book that you wrote called?
Oh, it's Your Strong, Sexy Pregnancy, a yoga and fitness guide. If someone's on camera right now, this is it.
Yay! Awesome.
And I wrote that right after my second pregnancy. And the pregnancies were so different from one another. And during my first pregnancy, my body really craved lots and lots of yoga and singing to my belly and really kind of just feeling that flow. And during my second pregnancy, I wanted to like throw tires and lift weights. And so I honored that. And what's so interesting is I can see that now in my children's personalities. My older son is really mellow and go with the flow, and my younger son, I'll just tell you his first name, and then I think you'll understand his whole personality. His name is Rocket, and he is a rocket.
Yeah, so much of what we do in pregnancy can definitely impact how they turn out. I'll have to contemplate that on my wild 3.5, almost 4-year-old. What did I do that made her so crazy? Maybe I did a lot of HIIT workouts or something. She's a wild one. So you just got awarded, this is very recent, the Idea Fitness Leader of the Year, which is such an honor. I know you mentioned that you've been certified instructor with them since 2002. So yeah, how does that feel? Tell me about that.
This is really, really exciting. I've worked with them for so many years, and I've written about prenatal health for them. And they're such an amazing organization that supports instructors not only all over the US, but all over the world. So it's beautiful to see how the message of strength and health and wellness is brought through so many different voices. And it's not about us as instructors, it's about all of the people that we reach and touch. So when there's that moment of recognition of like, hey, yeah, you've reached and touched some folks, that feels really good.
Amazing. So I want to talk about midlife wellness, because I know that is a key kind of demographic for like midlife women. I'm a midlife woman. I look up to people like you. Like, I want to age well and age fiercely. So what are some of the key changes that women experience in their 40s and beyond, and how can your work with movement, breath, mindset help them thrive in this phase?
So my second book, which is called Total Body Beautiful, really focuses more on this midlife transition. And just like with Strong Sexy Pregnancy, what was happening was I was experiencing changes in my own body that I couldn't find the answers to. So I'm like, let me rely on my education. I found that I needed more education, and that's what drove me back to school. So I finished my doctoral dissertation earlier this year, and I've got the doctor title, which I'm excited about, but I'm more excited about what I learned. So my thesis was all about how yoga and menopausal education can help to mitigate symptoms during the transition. What does that mean? It means that yoga can help us to feel better, but also education. Simply understanding what's happening in our own bodies gives us a sense of agency. So when we learn, like, what are the big 3 symptoms or the big 3 manifestations that we see? The first one is vasomotor symptoms, so hot flashes and night sweats. That then starts a cascade that can lead to sleep disturbances. That's the second most common. And it makes sense, you know, if you're sweating in the middle of the night and you have to get up and change your sheets, of course your sleep is disturbed. And if that happens several times, it becomes a problem. Now, the third most common symptom that we see, and often the most vocal, especially in the health and wellness space, is a terrible term, waist thickening. So there's a redistribution of fat patterning that goes to the abdomen. And that's when women call me and say, help. So I've become really passionate about helping women to understand hormonal shifts and what's going on, what do you need to do, how can you start today to feel better.
Oh my gosh, the waist thickening. I mean, I'm pretty up to date on midlife women, at least I thought I was, but I've never heard it termed that way. So what, and I know a lot of our listeners are probably experiencing that. I even myself have started experiencing that, where the fat, like my mom's apple shape, so I'm just gonna like have the apple shape. So is it a combination of nutrition? Is there certain things that you help your clients with that you could recommend on the show today?
Yeah, so I am not a medical doctor, but my best friend is a naturopath. And so I often have women start with her, get your blood work done. Let's see what's going on the inside. I don't want to guess and say, your estrogen has plummeted, your progesterone has probably plummeted as well. And while we're at it, let's take a look at your testosterone, because that is the precursor for estrogen. But she can. She can look at your blood work and see what's going on the inside. And then additionally, I need to start to speak to women about things like polarized training and lifting heavier weights. It doesn't mean we do it all day, every day, but we need these small windows of that big challenge. Separately, now I want to look at what's going on with her nervous system. Is she constantly in fight or flight? Is she like killing herself to try to fit into the old genes? Is she constantly going to these classes and stressing her body out more and jacking up her cortisol and working against herself? So that's kind of where I start. And then from there, of course, we get into nutrition and also your emotions. Have you clearly expressed your truth? Because if you have not, your body is going to start screaming.
Yeah, absolutely. Functional medicine has definitely been kind of making its way into our field quite a bit, where you can basically, I think there's several different companies now where you can have a phlebotomist come and get your blood work done. Do you have any strong opinions on these newer kind of companies that do functional medicine labs remotely?
I think as long as you're working with a skilled naturopath, then they can guide you, because there are certain times of the month that you're supposed to get this done. You might see that your progesterone is very high, but what does it look like 2 weeks later? So we need someone to guide us as to even when to pull the trigger with a test. I think that most of the companies that are out there are probably very, very well-meaning, but I want that hand-holding guide to tell me how to make the most of my results.
Love it. I think that's just, very, very wise. Now, I know you and Dr. Natalia Gwynn, who's your naturopathic partner, are hosting a couple retreats. I know you have one that's sold out in Palm Springs this November and another one coming up on Valentine's Day. Tell us a bit about Radiant Renewal Retreat and kind of what the experience is. And also, I'm sure people want to sign up. So where can people sign up to?
Yeah, so my best friend, Natalia Gwynn, she's been just a light in my life with health and wellness. And what we were talking about how women don't have the opportunity to just kind of pause and really look at what's happening on the inside. So that's the impetus for the retreat. We wanted these 4 days to be all about these individual women. They can get their blood work read with her in a palapa looking at the Pacific Ocean in Cabo San Lucas, which is pretty magical, as well as come to yoga and meditation with me. We have sacred circles in which we speak our truth. So we really want to kind of address the body, the mind, the heart, so that women are recognized as whole beings and that they understand the changes that are happening in their bodies. You can find the retreat on my website, which is desibbodymind.com. And if you forget, I'm all over Insta and social. But the one that's coming up in Cabo is extra special to me because I lived in Cabo San Lucas for 5 years. And I really truly believe, just like Sedona, there are certain places on this planet that are energy centers. There's a vortex there, and it amplifies everything that we do. And Cabo in Mexico, it definitely is.
Oh yeah, I've definitely felt that in some places as well. So you often speak about cultivating strength from the inside out. Do you have any specific favorite practices that help people reconnect, women specifically, reconnect with joy, confidence, and power in their bodies, especially after transitions like pregnancies or menopause?
Yeah, so I love to give women the opportunity to pause and hear their own thoughts and feel their own feelings. What happens a lot when I say like, "Hi, how are you?" I'll hear the fine, and then I'm like, "Okay, wait, no, really, how are you?" And then I hear a lot of "I should." Well, I've been doing okay, but I really should be doing this other thing, or I'm doing okay, but I just need to get those last 5 or 10 pounds off. And I'm like, how are you? How's your heart? How's your life? How are your relationships? So I love to provide the opportunity to ask deeper questions so that we can really hear and feel the real answers. So practices like journaling, I think, are so powerful. And I love to give women prompts, especially in a retreat setting, so that they can sit down and reflect, like, what's happening in my life? What is that reflecting back to me? Are there any changes that I need to make right now that could make me feel even stronger? So that's where I get into strength from the inside out. Additionally, when we're lifting weights, I really feel like that helps with mental strength. So if I can just push this 10-pound bar like, 5 more times and I can prove it to myself, then there's something that happens in our mental health and mental awareness. We begin to trust ourselves in a new way. So whether you go in from the outside in or the inside out, I believe there's benefits in both.
Absolutely. This idea of embodied strength and proving to your nervous system that you can do hard things, you can lift heavy things. Like we often, as women, have like the weight of the world on our shoulders. And for me, doing those deadlifts, like I can pick up both kids. No problem.
I love it.
Okay, so you've worked with major brands, you've led global initiatives, and you've influenced how yoga and wellness are actually shared in the media today. What major shifts are you seeing right now in the wellness industry?
I'm pausing because I want to be as nice about this as possible. I see a lot of overnight experts, and I've had so much education, and what I've learned is the more that I know, the more I don't know. There's so much to learn all of the time. And if you have a message to share, maybe just take a little more time and cultivate that message from a really heart-centered space with a tremendous amount of research behind it, instead of like, oh, here I am. Don't I look cute in my leggings? And this is what I do for my glutes. Like, cool, but that's not what I'm looking for in my education.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to integrating the whole person, the holistic wellness, like you have the mindset, the strength, the yoga, the meditation, the ritual. Like there's, to me, I use this word holistic movement coach or holistic movement coaching, because I think what we do goes so much beyond just like teaching asana or teaching fitness. It's like we're really looking at the whole person. And yeah, humbleness is definitely key.
Yes. But then also I'm starting to see a lot more awareness of deeper concepts, which I think is really cool. If I say parasympathetic nervous system, people actually know what I'm talking about. I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely refreshing when there's like a whole dialogue around somatics. And even 5 years ago, I didn't even know what somatics was until I had an interview with Trina Altman, who wrote a book she had like somatics and weightlifting or something. And I was like, oh, somatics, this is the thing. This is but now it's just everywhere, which is wild.
Yeah, that was the first book I read about somatics was in the 1980s by Barbara Brennan, Hands of Light. And she was really cool. She was a nurse. And she realized that when she was touching people, she could feel their experiences. So it's an interesting thing, especially as a yoga teacher, and I'm sure you've had this before, Summer, where you touch people and you know what they're feeling, or you can almost see the experience. It's a wild, intuitive thing because we're so deep in someone's energy field that if it's of service, it's often revealed.
Oh yeah, I mean you can tell so much by the energetic frequency of how a person, all the like non-verbal body language that you see from a
Oh,
person energetically when you have clients come in and you can just feel it.
yes. Yeah.
The frequency.
Posture, everything for sure.
There's a book I read by, I started doing somatic therapy and then I started to study more of like Wilhelm Reich's work, who's the like father of somatic therapy. And he has a whole body of work, but it's kind of evolved and distilled. I'm really a fan of Peter Levine's work. Is pretty helpful too in our realm. So, what would you tell a seasoned yoga instructor who wants to get into producing her own online courses? Because I know you've done so much video production and you have so much experience. A lot of our listeners in my audience are just kind of wanting to get into that, into producing their own online body of work.
So really take the time to consider where and how will you be distributing this, right? It's sort of like writing a book. Do you want someone else to be the publisher and bring it to the masses? Or do you want to be the one who's doing that and sort of funneling it out? And there's pros and there's cons to both. And the same is true in the video world. You know, do you want to partner with an amazing company that you believe in that can get that message out and you are the one who's doing the video production on your own? Or do you want to create a platform and do that yourself? The latter is harder. It doesn't mean you can't do it. And if there's something that you've created that you really want to sort of own the rights to, then the latter might be the way to go. But before that also, is it needed? You know, I would take a look at, is there something that you're offering that other people are not offering? Is it needed in the world? I don't know that the world needs another, 20-minute abs class. I mean, if that's in your heart, God bless. And have I done many abdominal series? Yes, of course. But what I did to try to make it different was I offered classes through many different modalities. So here's Pilates, here's gyrotonics, here's yoga, here's all the different functional training. Make it a little bit different so that you're really offering something to this world.
Yeah, absolutely. I take a lot of yoga teachers and kind of support them on building their body of work, like doing their own self-production, because nowadays, like, there's not a lot of contracts given out to just beginner yoga teachers. So I teach them how to film their own stuff. But I think you're right, with different mixed modalities and the uniqueness and like, how can we be different? How can we teach something that's not just like, there's already thousands of YouTube free yoga videos on YouTube that, you know, you want to make sure that you stand out. All right, so kind of circling back to you as an entrepreneur, which is just like incredible how much you've accomplished, and you're still going, still just getting started. What's working really well for you right now in your business, and what's felt like a challenge or a growth edge?
So this year has been all about sort of firming up the foundation. So this year I completed the doctoral work, and I finally got my trademark for the Body Mind workout. Additionally, I redid my home office. It's all just the behind the scenes of like, let me sustain this, let me fortify it. And so now where I'm going a little bit more into, you know, building my platform and really taking those videos to the masses. I had a real soft launch because I was like, okay, I know what I want to do. I know what it should look like, but also I need a trademark and I need to protect my work. So now it's time to like go big.
So cool. So what are you dreaming into for the next 6 to 12 months, both personally and professionally?
Ooh. So personally, I have loved traveling with my family this summer. It's been incredible. We've been doing so much. My older son is 16 and he's starting to look at colleges. My younger guy is 11 and he's just thinking about 6th grade. Personally, I'm dreaming into existence, spending time together at home. As much as I love travel and seeing the world, you know, with my husband and my kids, it's amazing, but I'm sort of craving that stability of like, let's just have dinner together. And then professionally, again, it's going to be taking that platform out in a more meaningful way. And for instructors who are working with you and, finding their way to like bringing their voice to the masses, they're so lucky to have you, to have someone who can help guide you. Like that's everything. It's hard to do it by yourself. I've been doing this for so long, and I see so many wonderful instructors trying, and I'm like, oh, did you think about, changing your mic or washing your feet before you film that? It's little tiny tweaks, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. The reps of like getting in front of the camera and like setting the shot and setting the mic and making sure your head's not chopped out or your hands aren't chopped out. It's like the little things you learn on video production over the years that, yeah, make a huge difference. I love the washing your feet visual.
Right, yeah, it's a thing. And simply learning how to mirror cue. I was really happy I had so many years of Group X because I can say right when I'm using my left hand, and it's second nature.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that comes from years of experience being in front of a class doing Group X and then having a mirror literally in front of you. So as somebody with deep experience across yoga, fitness, women's health, where do you see the biggest growth opportunities in our industry in the next 5 to 10 years, especially for like practitioners, teachers, even your naturopathic colleague? Just where do you see the biggest growth opportunities in this wellness space?
I think that menopause and perimenopause are taking off like something we've never seen, and that it's going to continue to expand exponentially. And I truly believe that AI is going to change a lot of how we approach health and wellness. And so we have to be cognizant of that. Someone can get on ChatGPT and say like, what's the best workout for me to reach these goals? But you as the instructor, you as the teacher, as the healer, as the guide, you offer something unique that can't. But can you work hand in hand with that technology? Absolutely. So I'd say that AI, menopause, and instructors realizing their value and working these three things together as a braid is going to just take off.
Your voice dropped like down into this deep like knowing of truth when you said firstly the menopause one, which I think you're right. And I keep seeing it pop up, and I get into this mode where I'm like, oh yeah, menopause, like, but that really wasn't a thing, 5 and 10 years ago, that people were really getting empowered with the knowledge and the education. And now it's just, again, becoming mainstream. But I think the more that we get empowered as women, because, a lot of the studies were based on men, a lot of the functional lab tests were based on men's functional labs. And so there's a whole gap in the research, as you know, for women, testing women in menopause and mitigating these symptoms. But I just wanted to comment on that moment when you just dropped into that like power, like just empowered energy, just supporting that is really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there's definitely a gravitas that occurs internally in me because that's who I am today. I'm 53 years old, and I see that we're living longer than ever, and we could live longer postmenopausally than we did premenopausally. So we need to be prepared for this shift.
Mm-hmm. And then the other piece I want to riff off the AI piece, because I think you're right. A lot of people are using AI for like a form of a cheaper therapist or like writing their own programs or whatnot. I think, yeah, AI is a useful tool and you can get to know it. It can get to know you. But I think it will never take the place of a real human watching your form or giving a custom program or the energy that comes into a specific program when you're actually conveying it with instruction. Could we go into the AI piece a little bit? I don't know if you've experienced, if you have any sort of strong thoughts on people utilizing AI as a friend or as like a colleague. Like I actually have had quite a few people I've met that are like, yep, I engage with my AI on a regular basis. It helps me work through stuff. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a wonderful friend. Her name is Rezi Pio, and she is a shaman. She's a trained shaman from Alberto Villoldo in Peru, and she has started this new body of work in which she is using AI as essentially like a spiritual best friend. And so she's talking to her AI about, like the path of enlightenment and and revealing codes within human design and her astrological chart. And I'm like, that's bomb. That's amazing. So I'm really excited to see how people in our fields sort of develop this tool. On the other side, the part that makes me a little bit nervous is that we don't try to use it for intimate relationship, whether that's, like the girlfriend experience that we're starting to see, or encouraging kids like to have AI as your bestie. I want to see people, and I want to see the AI be a tool.
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely firm on keeping it in the tool realm just 'cause I use it for like marketing, to optimize like business plans and things. I haven't I think I started asking it about quantum mechanics and like mindset stuff the other day, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of research floating out there, and I think using the language models to kind of dissect and distill useful information and research can definitely be a powerful tool. But I think it will never replace real human connection, and we're designed to connect through the eyes, the nose, the mouth, facial expressions, community, like being in community with each other.
Absolutely. I like AI for email personally.
Yeah,
like,
for your email campaigns.
Make it sound more professional. Yes.
Oh yeah, same. All right, what skills or qualities do you believe are essential for wellness leaders to cultivate as the industry continues to shift?
As the industry continues to shift, I think it's important to be dedicated to your craft. It's so easy to be swept away by like, oh, this thing's cool and that thing's cool, and let me check that out. What's in your heart, and what is it that you really want to offer? And then when you can check in with that every single day, then you can actually build something. So for me, for example, in the morning when I say, enséñame, show me how I can be of service, that came from a deep place of, I have to tell you a story. Do we have time for a quick story?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I am originally from Chicago. I lived in Mexico for 5 years. I had gone to Chicago for my 30th birthday, and I was on a plane flying from Chicago back to Cabo on September 11th, 2001. The pilot came over the loudspeaker and said, "We need to land. Something has happened." So when I got off the plane, I saw the television in the airport terminal, and Tower 2 came down. And I didn't know what to do. Obviously, I couldn't fly anywhere. I couldn't rent a car. I found a hotel. I found the television, of course, to see what was going on. But I felt myself sort of sinking into an abyss of despair. And so I'm like, what do I do? So I went for a walk so I could move some of the emotion out of my body until I got to a point where I could sit still, I could drop in, and I could pray, and I could meditate and ask, what can I do? How can I help? How can I help this planet? And the answer was, share your gifts. And I truly believe that we all have gifts. And so I wake up every day dedicated to that mission, and on that day I vowed to do that, to show up. So if you can come from the space of a vow to yourself, to the divine, to others, then it's much easier than, oh, wait, can I get like 10 more followers today? It's just a different mindset.
Yeah, showing up with a heart of service, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Desi, for being on the show today. It's been such a pleasure going deep into your story and your work, and I'm excited to see where your work takes you in the next 6 to 12 months and beyond. Where can our users, our listeners, our audience find you on Instagram? What's your Instagram handle? And then YouTube?
Yeah, my Instagram is Mothers Into Living Fit. Because I still love to work with the mamas. And YouTube and my website, everything else is Desi Body Mind.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being on Aligned Impact, and many, many blessings, and aloha.
Aloha. Thank you, Summer.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Aligned Impact. I'm truly grateful to have you here in this growing community of leaders, innovators, and conscious change makers. Check the show notes for all the links and resources we mentioned today, and you can explore more of my work and programs over at FlowShala.com or connect with me on social media at Summer Huntington and YouTube as well for behind the scenes, movement inspiration, and business tips. Stay tuned for more episodes of Aligned Impact that inspire you to lead with intention, get empowered, and create aligned impact in your life and your